I try really hard not to judge other people without much information. A lot of times on this podcast, I worry about generalizing a group of people, like men, as is the focus of this podcast a lot of the time. I do understand that people are always more nuanced and complex than the group that they fit into. Do you ever find yourself scrolling on social media and see a bunch of guys that seem hotter, more popular, more rich, more whatever, and you end up just feeling like shit? Sometimes I go to judging those guys to make myself feel better. If there's something wrong with them, then it must mean that I'm okay or that I don't have to sit with the shame or that I feel about myself. I have to remember, though, that I don't know these people and also know whatever I think is making their life better most of the times does not. Having more doesn't get rid of your problems or mean you'll feel great all the time. So I think we have to work on practicing a little CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, if you know what that is, when it comes to judging others. If you find yourself putting someone down and deciding on who they are before even talking to them, maybe take a beat. Wait until you spend a little bit of time with them. See how they make you feel. Maybe you'll be right about them or not, but most of the time it takes a bit of work and curiosity to get to know someone. Then you can make your judgments. In this episode, I chat with sex educator Tim Lagman, and we jump into how people make us feel, especially when the focus is on our bodies. This is Mask Off for Mask, and I'm Vance. Hey, Tim.
Hi, Vance.
How's it going?
It's going so well. It's so much better now that I'm here with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
actually, you
well.
were just telling me, why don't you tell everyone what you just did that you were just
I'm
saying to me?
so you can feel free to like put this on the reels, but my nipples are newly pierced. I am raw. I am
Here,
sore.
go up a little bit more.
Like here for the TikToks and the Instagram. Like, look at that. My
Oh,
eyes
yeah.
are down here. I am
Yeah.
vulnerable, sore, raw. But I'm a freak and I love the feeling of a little pain on my nips. So the way my shirt is
Yeah.
rubbing up on my sensitive nipples is the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feels so good.
Yeah. I always thought nipple piercings were really hot, but like probably too scared to get it done.
I
It's
mean,
like the disease is so
like
painful.
the pain was so sharp and so quick, but like once it's done, it's kind of like, oh, it's done. And then like
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now I'm feeling like, raw still, but you kind of just have to wear loose clothing and you should be fine with
Or
some
nothing.
saline solution. Yeah, or nothing. That's my favorite state of
Yeah.
being. My favorite state of
Yeah.
undress.
Yeah.
My God. Also, like we're matching tops. Look at
Uh,
that. Oh, well, I'm
oh
not a
yeah, we
top,
are
but like
actually. Yeah. And I don't have my nipples pierced.
oh my God, but I'm so glad to be here, Vance. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about what you do as a sex educator and a
Right.
podcaster as well?
So, hello, everyone listening out there in the podcast world. My name is Tim Lagman. I am a sex educator certified with the American Board of Sexology. I'm also an award winning podcaster. I won the Canadian Podcast Award for Health and Fitness. My podcast is called Sex Ed with Tim. And my main focus when it comes to sex education is LGBTQ plus sexual health, advocating for HIV/AIDS awareness, talking about PrEP, U equals U, basically how to teach queer folks to have sex better because nobody was there to talk to us about how to have good, enjoyable queer sex. So I'm hoping to be that sex educator that was not present when I was a kid. So I want to be there for the future generations and the current generations. I mean, people our age, Vance, they still don't know how to have good, proper sex. So why not help them along?
It's people at every age. I had a client the other day who said to me, he asked if most of my clients were his age, and he was, in his 50s, I would say. And but anyways, he was asking, and I was like, it's like people of every age. Like I work with guys that are 20 years old who don't know how to have sex, and then there's guys who are 70 years old who don't know how to have sex, but there still is like I mean, I don't know what like what sex education is like in school now, but I don't think most of us got it at all, right? So how would anyone know how to have sex if no one told you?
Exactly. Speaking as someone who has taught like 40 different schools across Toronto and GTA, I tell you right now, the sex education system is still abysmal. Kids, they don't know where to get tested or what even is like, HIV, how it's different from AIDS, which is ridiculous. Then there's also the fact that like they just don't know how STIs work and like how condoms work to put one on. So it's kind of scary. The work continues very, very much.
So how did you learn about sex then? Was it becoming a sex educator or what got you into that then?
Learned everything about sex by doing things the wrong way. I fucked
Mm.
up every single time. Well, in my sex
Well, what do you mean
education,
by that?
like my sex education journey is a little different because I first started as a sex worker back in college. That's where I was learning the ins and outs, the ups and downs of women's sexuality. I was an escort from the ages of 19 to 23. I was escorting all my way through college. And it was from escorting that I learned, the different kinds of ways that people experience pleasure and how they express themselves and the ways they want to connect. And of course, I'm just starting out and I was fucking up. I was tripping on my words and how to properly call someone's genitals, for example. I was like, oh, want me to fuck you in your man pussy? Referring to his butthole. And he's like, what? You really just call it that? And I was like, I'm
Mm.
sorry. I don't know. You need to tell me these things. It was through basically real life experience that I picked up on basically my own sex education.
And by the way, I think maybe someone does want their ass to be called a man
Right,
pussy.
for
That doesn't sound
sure.
that bad to me.
Yeah. I just didn't ask, so my bad.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is like we all I even when so like a good example of that is the word daddy, because I have talked to a lot of men that not even men that are like around 40, so not even really that old, right? That like will get triggered by it because it makes them feel old.
Mm.
And so, or I've worked with dads who, like real dads, who just it takes them out because they're like, that's what my kids call me. So it's like, but I find is that I hear a lot of stories of like just because a man is of a certain age, that whoever's fucking them will just call them daddy. And also, I had one client once who was talking about how like he felt like he had to do that role because everyone just put it on him just because he was of a certain age, right? And so I think the one thing people don't understand is that you don't know this person, and maybe ask, or if you try it and you notice that like, oh, they don't really seem like that's turning them on that much, then maybe that's not something that they want to be called, right?
Sure. I actually have experiences on different fronts with that word. So, for example, I was 25 and he was 23, and he called me daddy in the middle of sex. And I'm like, I'm both in our 20s. What do you
Yeah.
mean, daddy? And then one of my fuck buddies, he actually prefers dad over daddy. Uh, and I'm not sure why. Well, I mean, like the guy is 70 years old and he has two kids, but he much prefers dad over daddy. I guess daddy is what his kids call him. Then I have another fuck buddy who prefers daddy over dad, even though he's not like a dad. So
Mm-hmm.
I think a relationship with that word so are evolving and changing, especially as gay men, because there's something so fascinating about gay men's phobia of aging. Almost as if when
Mm-hmm.
we call each other daddy, we're kind of speeding up the aging process. And what's worse than an old gay man, right? So it's a
Mm-hmm.
very like fascinating look as to how our relationship with the word changes, especially now that I'm mid 30s, I have grays popping up. For me, when I get called daddy, I'm like, okay, great. I don't mind. I don't hate it. It's like, you know what? Daddy's a state of mind. Pedro Pascal, like, what did he say?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
can
it
be your
is.
daddy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing is I've been with people who are my age, so like in their 30s and sometimes younger than me, and I'm like, I could call you daddy because to me it's like a dominance thing. But that's whereas like if someone said to me, "Oh, that word is kind of like taking me out of it," I would be like, "Okay, how about sir or master,
Or
whatever."
highness,
There's other words.
or
Yeah,
majesty.
but that's why you maybe. But yeah, so like that's what I always say to people is like be specific. What do you want people to call you? Do you want people to call you anything? Because yeah, words like for me, like right, daddy, it doesn't mean anything to do with age. It can, but like it's more of this dominance thing. So like my relation to the word is probably different than some other people. But I remember even I bringing up when I did my yoga teacher training, I'm still into daddies, but when I was younger, I was really into daddies and older men. And so I was telling all these girls that I was doing my teacher training with, who were all a bunch of straight girls, that I was like, oh, I love using the word daddy. And they all thought it was so disgusting because they were like, that just makes me think about like fucking my dad. I was like, yeah, I think that's the difference, right? Is some people will actually think that, right?
Well, straight ladies, they've got a different relation to that word. Even though all I see on like TikTok and these like comments on reels and stuff is like, oh, he can be my daddy. But it's like, these are all coming from like Gen Z ladies. And I'm like, so what is it? Are we averse to the word? Or do we like it? Like, what's the consensus here? I like it personally.
Yeah.
I don't mind. It's just a
I
state
like
of
it
mind.
too. I Yeah, and you know what? Actually, to go to Pedro Pascal for a second, one of the reasons why I love him so much, and I like, yes, I guess daddy vibes, but my opinion of Pedro Pascal is like Pedro Pascal is a perfect example of an evolved man who is in touch with their feelings and their emotions, not afraid to speak up on other people on queer rights, and obviously he has like a
Especially
trans
trans
sister,
issues.
right? Yeah. So like this is I'm like the daddy part that like we put on him. Yes, he's like sexy daddy guy, and that's very masculine, but he also is like all these good, compassionate, kind, empathetic parts of himself. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal is the version of where I think masculinity should go.
He's like this perfect blend of like, the daddy that the gays love, but also the daddy, the compassionate, the caretaking daddy, because he's so vocal about being compassionate and watching over each other and talking about trans rights. The way that he was just flaunting his protect the doll shirt, and I was like, oh my god, that's so
Mm-hmm.
hot. Oh, I love him. I love him. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
totally demystified what it means to be like, well, I don't know what his sexuality is, but uh, sexuality aside, I think he's totally like deconstructed what it means to be a masculine man in the media. And I just love
Mm-hmm.
that about him.
Yeah, totally. I think that he's like this great example of so many men live in this tiny box of what they can be. And it's like, look at this guy who's like all the things that are working for him because he doesn't put himself into this box of what it means to be a man. And look how good he looks doing it.
Oh, he's so hot. I'm so sad that like
Mm-hmm.
he only had like how many episodes in the second season of Last of Us, and like I played the game, so I'm like, I know what's happening, but also like,
Mm.
give me more. I want more Pedro,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish I was
Yeah.
there for the Pedro Pascal lookalike contest in New York. That would have been great.
Well, I mean, he's like in every movie and every show right now, so I'm sure you'll get lots more of him. So I wanted to ask you about this thing that you posted a little while ago, and I'll let you say it because I will vaguely say it wrong or whatever. But yeah, what you posted something about losing weight and how other gay men were treating you, and I was curious to know about that. So if you want to say what
Mm.
you were saying to everyone.
Sure. Happy to talk about it because what happened was in March of 2024, I underwent gastric bypass. And this was coming from a recommendation from my doctor because I was type 2 diabetic. I was at risk of losing my feet, my vision. The diabetes was just like, it was still in its early stages. So I was at a loss because Ozempic wasn't really doing anything for me. So I was like, all right, fine, just give me the surgery. Let's do it. So then I went to get the surgery, and very quickly, within about 3 months, I lost 90 pounds, which was like, if you do the math, that's about a pound a day, which is crazy fast.
Yeah.
When I didn't make any sort of like news or hullabaloo about it because why would I just like it's my personal life. However, that doesn't stop people from noticing because I am a pole dancer, and what I like to do is post my routines. And I didn't really make any sort of comment about my figure. It's just that when I was undergoing the weight loss process in those 3 months of losing a pound a day, people were like, "Oh my God, you look so good now." And I'm like, "So good now?"
Mm-hmm.
That's all that people could talk about. And it was like the most interesting reactions I got were from gay men. They were the ones who were the first to point that out to me. Because when I would
Mm-hmm.
go on like the dating apps like Grinder and Scruff, my pictures were still my pre-surgery photos. And when we would meet in real life, they'd be like, "Oh my God, you look nothing like in your photos. You're so much skinnier." And I was like, "Oh, well, thanks, I guess." Because to me, I still see myself as that pre surgery version of Tim. So then I was like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
this is, I guess, some sort of reverse catfishing, if that even exists. So I decided to update my photos and, right, like I'm hotter in real life or something, like whatever the hell that means. So I posted my photos, my now photos after weight loss. And I was just like, well, where was this before my weight loss? Where was this kind of attention, back in my original body?
You said something about you still felt like you were the same person before you lost the weight, like felt the same in your body, or you felt you looked the same way. Like, I was curious to know, like, were you feeling better, or were you still like, was it like body dysmorphia? What did you mean by that?
I still saw myself, like, physically as that same person. Like, yeah, when you put in together my before and after photos, there's a very noticeable difference. However, when I look at it, I'm like, that's still the same Tim. That's still the same personality behind that. It's just, a few pounds of difference. So, you know, it was really fascinating to get different reactions from especially gay men who were in the village and on the apps, and then they're like, "Oh my God, you're so much skinnier. You look so healthy. You look great now." And these are the guys that would ignore me and now are coming at me with just like unsolicited comments about my physique. So it was just really strange to get that. And it kind of speaks to the fact that we are gay men. We're very tied to our looks and how much we value our physical appearance because our appearance is currency, especially if you're a gay man. Because you're only like, I hate to say it, but the reality of being in a queer male body is that your looks are your currency. Your worth is determined by your looks, and it shouldn't be. It absolutely should not be. And and it's not that I hate the reactions that I was getting. I mean, I didn't feel good, but I can also understand why I was getting the reactions I was getting. I'm not excusing gay men for being like, "Oh my God, you look so much better now that you're skinnier." And I'm not faulting them for that. I'm just saying that I wish there was a different way that we could talk about men's gay men's health, not just sexual health, but gay men's health in relation to our physical appearance. There has to be a healthier relationship
Hmm.
that we can have with our mental health as well as our physical health and how we place so much value on physical appearance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the way that I see it is like, or like how we Like the whole thing with like our bodies being currency, and if we look a certain way or we have more worth and value, it's like, yeah, that's what we've kind of been socialized to believe. And so that's like all ingrained in us. It's ingrained in everyone, right? Like society is fat phobic for the most part, and values mostly white bodies that are fit, right? Like that's but like
Mm-hmm.
the thing is to understand that it's like the society has also socialized me to believe that I should get married, I should get a 9 to 5 job, and all those things too that I don't have to do as well. And so I think the thing is that a lot of people like it's funny when you talk about how you still recognize that like I'm the same person, and like these compliments, they weren't coming, people weren't paying attention to me before, because like I know that could go a different direction where guys might be like, oh, look at, now I'm so hot, now everyone likes me. But what that does is, if you believe that statement that my body is my worth and my value and it needs to look a certain way, or I'm not worthy of love and belonging, that is going to just create so much anxiety in your life of when you feel like you have to hold on to something that is impossible to
Mm-hmm.
hold on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like no matter what, you're going to get older, your body's going to change, you're not going to be able to stay in its greatest shape. Like it will create problems. So like the thing is like to recognize that you can even be like, oh, wow, the compliments are nice, I'm taking them in, or I don't get compliments, whatever. But like whatever comes in doesn't really matter to like my worth and my value, right? Like for my body, and understanding that like how I feel in my body is what matters the most. Like if I'm even with a group of guys that the only reason why they're hanging out with me is because I look a certain way, that's still not going to make me feel safe, because I'm going to be like, I'm not really connecting with you guys because I can tell that the only reason maybe you're trying to connect with me is because you think I look a certain way. Yeah. And so, like, a lot of that stuff can come into it too. I think it can be like, it's just doing this work too has made me realize that, like, first of all, I know that the way your body looks doesn't determine how good you are in bed. I say that
Yeah.
like all the
My
time.
God.
That is, so there's not really a point of it besides receiving compliments. So like, or people liking you, but they'll only like you for the way that you're presenting your body, not really you. So that's not really like a secure relationship or whatever you're trying to do with that. But I always just try to remind myself that I'll get those triggers and be like, oh my God, that guy is so hot and masculine or something, and I'll get triggered and feel bad about myself. But then I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that guy feels like in his body. That guy might be a stress ball of anxiety or
Anxiety.
whatever.
Like, oh God, now I have to be super masculine around all these other gays. And it's like,
Well,
okay.
I think it's subconscious of like, you just, what we do as gay men is like, you see them a lot of times as like, the perfectionism prevents you from like letting go and feeling all your feelings. And maybe even if you're like in a situation where you're just hanging out, and or you're at work or whatever, I don't know, you're with other
Mm-hmm.
people, and the ability to be like, to say something stupid, to say something funny, to be silly, to laugh, to like not feel like I have to keep all of this in, because that's what my body has learned to do for so long, right? Is learn to be, I got to keep this all looking good, because if there's a flaw, or if anything, if I look stupid, if I look embarrassing, then it's going to like destroy the fantasy of what I'm trying to do, right?
We're
So,
not selling a fantasy. Oh my God, everyone
yeah,
relax.
yeah,
Stop trying to sell your masculine
yeah,
fantasy. Mascot.
yeah,
Ugh, God.
yeah, yeah.
Ugh, so tired.
But that's the thing. I always just remind people too, is that like, I think that a lot of times too, that we judge each other because of the way that we look, whatever that is. And I think it's like to always remember that you have no idea who that person is, and you're making judgments based on anything else and everything else behind you, instead of being like, well, maybe I should get to know this person, and maybe they're really kind, down to earth, and sweet, and we have a connection that has nothing to do with the way this person looks, right?
Or maybe you're an asshole and you can just go on your
Yeah,
merry
yeah.
day and you can
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
yourself.
The one thing I think we should do is we should call out asshole behavior. Like, I think that the one thing is that like
Absolutely.
the stories of, guys on, or even just like guys on apps that are like specific about, basically only wanting white muscular
Race
guys.
as a preference.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
It's just a preference. No, it's racism, okay? You don't have to put like your no fats, no femmes, no Asians. Like Just
Yeah.
because you take that out of your profile doesn't mean we're gonna come having sex with you. It just means I don't have to see it, right? And like,
Yeah, yeah.
why do you pretend that like every single fat femme Asian gay is gonna come flocking to your door as if we're desperate to fuck you? You must think you're so
Yeah,
special
yeah.
if you think you're gonna need to put that as a warning label. No fats, no femmes, no Asians. And it's like, great, okay, and what now?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
You're not special.
Well, but the thing about that too is that, I mean, not like, because it is like so racist and stuff, but like, let's say even if a guy was like mask for mask, so only wanting masculine guys, right? Which this podcast is mask off for mask. But even if a guy says that, like what it tells me is that you don't know how to connect into your body to feel your sexuality if it doesn't look like this version of a porn star that you're so used to jerking off to. Right. So it's like, it's the same thing when I talk to guys who don't know, like, they'll be like, I'm a top and I'm like, I'm a bottom, but like, actually, I'm not. If we're going to fuck today, like, I'm not, I don't have time I'm not prepped. I'm not good to bottom or something. We can still fuck. But the guys that are like, I have to top. And I'm like, so you don't know how to have sex without putting your dick in a hole?
That's
But
so one
it's true that
dimensional.
but I've been with guys where I've been with guys where if you don't have penetration, the sex can still be just as great because there's so many other things you can do. But when I've had sex with guys, sometimes where I'm like, oh, if we actually don't have anal, it's not that great because I can tell that there's like a disconnect and we're not like flowing through this as easy. So I'm like, okay, well, I like getting fucked. So like that happened. If that happens, it's great. But if it doesn't, sometimes I'm like, oh, I can tell this guy doesn't really know how to have sex is like an experience where it's more so like, but I need to do the thing, like putting my dick in a hole
Mm-hmm.
to know that I've like achieved sex, or I need to come to know that I've achieved sex, or, and I'm just like, we can just like rub our bodies together. Like,
Yeah.
we can just like make out,
Yeah.
right? Like, we
Like,
don't have to,
it's
yeah.
so wild to me how gay men are conditioned to think as sex as being like from point A to point B. You do your foreplay, you do your kissing, and then you move on to oral, and then you move on to rimming or whatever else, and then you move on to fucking, penis in asshole, and then it caps off at orgasm, and then you're done. And it's like, while that can be fun, it totally negates all of the other ways that you can have sex, such as just, touching each other, just making out. And what about the fingering? What about toys, like dirty talk and role play stuff? There's so many other ways to enjoy sex that are non-penetrative. And if we're going to limit ourselves to heterosexual norms of top and bottom penetrator versus penetratee, then like we're just as bad as the straights.
Yeah, yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
oh, we're getting in it. We're getting in it. We're just as bad as the
I
straights.
actually, you know what, actually, though? It's funny when gay guys talk about the straights as like, oh, there's so many straights here or something. Because I do know a lot of straight people, probably because of like the work that I do, that I would say are like so much kinkier and open sexually than most people know. Like, I think a lot of straight people are that. It's just not so in your face, right? Like, they might be doing that. They might be having sex parties that are, that maybe us gay people aren't going to, or like there's not a
Mm,
lot of queer people there. But I think they're like, straight people are just as kinky. Maybe lots of them don't know they can do it and don't have the invitation to do so as
that's
like a lot of
fair.
us queer people have.
That's fair. That's fair. And so back in the spring, I did the series of lessons called the Kinky Skills Intensive, and majority of the attendees were straight. And at the end of the Kinky Skills Intensive was this invitation to a play party. The play party was like, people having sex or playing around with domination, submission, kink, bondage, leather. Like it was in this beautifully decorated, well equipped dungeon. And, seeing so many straight people finally like have a chance to enjoy sex that is outside of our perceived notion of what is normal. And I put that in quotes for those listening, normal. It's great. Like, it is funny to see that, like, straight people are now feeling a little more sexually liberated the way that gay people, that queer people have been sexually liberated. Like, it's funny to see, like, a straight person discovering polyamory for the first time as if it's like this brand new thing. But it's like gays have been polyamorous or open for, I don't know, since cavemen, right? So it's fascinating to see them have this sort of like newfound taste for sexual liberation. I mean, I don't know if gays are practicing polyamory quite ethically, but that's a different conversation. But you know what I mean? It's like now that they're kind of like embracing, and I would say this in quotes again, queer sex. I tread carefully when it comes to straight people using queer. Like, to embrace sexual freedom the way the queer men have embraced sexual freedom is a refreshing sight to see.
Do you think that gay men, what do you think they get wrong with polyamory then? Or will you say they're not ethical?
I mean, they're just saying polyamory as if it's like something that they're doing correctly, when really it's just an excuse for you to like fuck and call your affairs like, something more palatable. Like,
Mhm.
now, obviously, I'm generalizing when I say that like queer men don't know how to be polyamorous when they're just cheating, but there are queer people who actually know how to be polyamorous properly. The main difference with polyamory and cheating is the consent aspect, right? Like, when a gay guy says that they're polyamorous, I'm like, okay, but like, what is comprised of your polyamory? Are you just fucking and not telling your partner? Or are you both actually consenting to letting others into your coupledom, your triad, or whatever else? And that's something that I also think we need to tackle as gay men, is the whole vocalizing our needs in our relationship dynamic, whether that be monogamous or polyamorous or open relationship or swinging or what have you. We don't know how to be vocal about our needs, and we're so scared of judgment. What is keeping you from saying, I would like to experience other forms of pleasure outside of this? It doesn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean that you are meaningless to my life and you don't bring meaning into my life. It just means that I need to explore and I have all these other wants and desires. It's not treating you as disposable. I want us to have the freedom to explore each other's pleasure in different avenues. And sometimes monogamy can't provide that, right?
Hmm.
And we just have to talk and be more open about
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people, not even just gay guys, obviously, are they just don't really I think that they don't realize that they have options for these things. Are your nipples okay?
Yeah,
He
I'm a
was
little hot.
I was
I'm
I,
like fanning myself with my top, and my nipples are raw. I'm a little hot under the collar. I'm
yeah.
sweating a little bit, but I'm
Well,
good.
so
I'm
I
good.
just assumed
Thank
that
you.
was your I thought it was that's what I thought it was about your nipples.
I'm happy to talk about my nipples forever,
Yeah,
Vance.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Maybe we'll come back to them.
Yeah.
We'll see how they're doing by the end of this podcast.
Do an end of show check in.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just think that people don't think that they have the option and they don't, because I always say this too, even for me, monogamy, the reason why I did it when I was younger is because in my 20s, I really just thought that, like, oh, if I want to have sex with someone else, that'd be cheating. It means that, like, it's such an awful thing to do because that's what, like, society tells you. And then when I was open with people, I was so jealous and I didn't have the skills to be able to understand that I'm like, oh, okay, I've got some abandonment issues and that comes up with open relationships. And so the other thing too about like, because the cheating is not a horrible thing to do. You know, like a lot of times people like leave the relationship or like seek something outside of it because they're not getting what they need. And some people have partners that are like, they know how much it's going to hurt them. So I see that like how difficult it is to have like ethical open relationships, especially if the fear is like the relationship might end. But I think this is what I always tell guys that I'm like, if you get into a relationship and the goal is long term, just have these discussions when like nothing is going on, right? And figure out like How would you feel about that? What would it be like if I made out with someone else when we were out dancing or something? And like when nothing has happened, see how that affects your nervous system. Because the thing is like if the goal is long term, like monogamy is really hard for anyone to do for an extended period of time. So the conversation probably will come up at some point anyways, even if you feel like monogamy is what we're doing right now. It's just being like a little bit fluid and open with understanding that like, we're human beings that are obviously going to be attracted to someone else at some point. And even in polyamory, it's really hard when like someone is attracted to someone else. I was watching an Instagram, I'm gonna say Dr. Jana, I think her name is, and she's a New York sex psychologist. And she was talking about how like when someone in a polyamorous relationship meets someone new, it's a really difficult time for the original couple or whoever's the original people in it,
Hmm.
because that's like because your partner all of a sudden is infatuated with someone else and you're like, oh my god, they're not there for me as much and their focus is on someone else. And so even in polyamory, I think it's like it's work, and it takes an awareness and ability to be able to understand your feelings and emotions and what comes up, and then for the other person to be able to be like, okay, this is it brings some tough feelings up sometimes, and I have to be compassionate towards my partner and hear how they're feeling and make them feel more secure in that moment about like what's going on, or and the other thing too is like, you can't, nothing is forever. Like we can't like just live in this like, well, they're never going to leave me if I do this. It's like, okay, there has to be a bit of like letting go of expectations of what it is. It doesn't mean that
Hmm.
you have to be like, well, they're going to leave me, so I'm just not going to fucking give a shit, but more be like, I want to be able to like see this person happy even if it's not with me or doing things without me. And that can doesn't have to be with other people. It can be just activities and hobbies and friends and stuff. And I think a lot of times us as gay men, we're super insecure and we want our person to be everything. And we get really afraid when they start like moving away or doing things on their own. And so like I think there's just a lot of insecurity that needs to be named in relationships, which helps so much to be able to understand what you're feeling.
I agree. I agree because, like, I don't fault gay men for wanting to find quote unquote the one, because we have spent so much of our lives, for the majority of gay men, we've spent so much of our lives, in the closet or hiding and being unable to date. So when we finally get the chance to see someone that is actually romantically interested in us, we kind of like glom onto that and like hold on to that. And we get into this mindset of like the one, the other half, the one that
Mm-hmm.
completes me. But it's like, when were you ever incomplete? When were you like broken and you need somebody to fix you? And this idea of monogamy as being like the one and only way to feel any sort of joy in your romantic life is, it's a little outdated, because what why does it fall on only one person to meet every single one of your needs? While monogamy can work for some people, you also have to understand that, like, for anyone listening, that that's a lot of pressure for someone. I mean, if they're willing to put in the work to meet
Mm-hmm.
every single one of your needs, sure, by all means, go for it. But for me, I personally don't want the people that I date to feel that kind of pressure. Like, you have to be my emotional support, you have to be my one and only, and you have to fulfill all of my sexual fantasies. And it's like, whoa, let's rewind a second. I cannot depend on one person, just like how I can't depend on one ice cream flavor to satisfy my need for ice cream for my entire life. I want other flavors as well. So I get it. I get why we fall into the trap that is monogamy is the only way. While it is a way, it is not the only way. And there's so many ways that we
Mm-hmm.
can express love, and yeah, jealousy can come up whether it is monogamy or polyamory, but that's kind of up to us to process and work through and communicate. Like, hey, I'm feeling this sense of jealousy right now. I'm feeling a little abandonment wounds coming and opening. Let's talk about it. Whether that is monogamous or polyamorous, it's so important to just be like, I'm feeling so sad right now. Can you please just like schedule a little one-on-one with me? Right? There's
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Touch your fingers and be a little demure and be mindful of it.
Yeah, I think monogamy can work, but it's like what you said is that one person, no matter what, can't be your everything. But that's why friends are so important too, right? Or
Yeah.
family members or whatever your thing is. So yeah, I think you can, because for some people they do have a lot of issues, and like the jealousy in the open relationship just does not work, and that's okay. But you still have to be like, you still have to be able to like lean on your friends sometimes to have someone to talk to or like spend time with them and disperse your
Mm-hmm.
energy to all these
Mm-hmm.
people, because if you rely on one person, you're just going to be so anxious the whole time. And what, like, because if that one person leaves, you're fucked.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's why people are so like anxious and they will like react and get triggered so easily, is because like, yeah, if that one person is your lifeline and you're fucked if you lose them. So
Yep.
like you're just constantly like, oh my god, did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Oh my god, are they gonna leave me? And so that's why it like it starts to feel better, or you feel a bit more secure when you're like, oh, I'm going out with my friends this weekend, and that like feels really great, enjoying hanging out with them. And I can tell my partner about that, and they're gonna be like, wow, I'm so happy you had a great time with your friends.
And that's on
Those are
codependence, honey.
healthy.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
codependence. Y'all need to find your ways to feel secure within yourself. And then,
Mm-hmm.
because I think what we also get wrong with a lot of relationships is that we think that it is, uh, our orbits need to be in line with each other, and we need to always like hold each other's hand, and like it's not codependent, but I like to think of it as interdependent. You know, we travel our own paths, and sometimes a partner is involved in that path. Sometimes our paths intertwine, sometimes they diverge, but like, you know, we can't just force two paths to always be walking in tandem with each other at all times. So, you know, stop forcing something when it's not going to happen. It's just not going to, just like sex, don't force it without any lube.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't,
yeah, yeah,
don't go with the flow.
yeah, yeah. And I think we also take our friends for granted when we're in that space of like looking for the one, whatever, like looking for this thing of like this person is gonna make me happy. And like I've thought about this too, where I'm like, I've had friends. I have one of my best friends lives in Vancouver, and she hasn't lived in the city for like 10 years, and we still see each other every year. And I'm like, I'm really proud of that. We've been friends for like 13 years, and we still make time for each other, and we still show up for each other, even though there was a few years we didn't even live in the same on the same continent.
Mm,
And so I'm like, oh, I'm really proud of that relationship, and I'm proud of the friends that I've had that I've maintained and like kept for so long, right?
mm-hmm.
And I think maybe this is just me, but I'm figuring out right now in my life that might be completely different by the time people listen to this podcast, but I'm figuring out right now that I'm like, I really like things, even when I think about like marriage or like really committed relationships or like monogamy, all that stuff makes me feel kind of anxious and like, oh my God, I'm stuck. Like if I got
Mm-hmm.
married, I would be like, oh my God, I'm married. Now I'm stuck in this.
Yeah.
And like, or it's going to be harder
Yes.
to get out. And now I'm realizing I'm like, I kind of want to live my life the way I do with everything, which is like going with the flow of things. Like, I'm sure I'll meet a guy again and like, you know, have a super crush on him, fall in love with him. Maybe it like only lasts 2 months. That's great. I
Yeah.
could have like, or maybe it'll last a year, maybe it'll last 5 years. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But like, I kind of just want to go with the flow with these relationships and be happy, and just happy that I get to experience intimacy with
Can I
lots of different people.
can I share something real quick? Because I am
Yeah, yeah, of course.
so I'm like, I have tried really, really hard to be single. It's not that I'm
Mm-hmm.
averse to relationships, it's that it's more of like I just enjoy my time by myself and my own personal time, and I value my time. It's so interesting to me that I have a lot of friends who are like, so when are you gonna meet someone? Okay, wait, hold on. Let me like set you up with my best gay friend. And it's like, did I ask for this? I'm not looking to date. I don't want to like get stuck in this. Like, why do people assume that I'm lonely? I am so
Yeah.
happy with just being myself. I enjoy being the center of a bukkake. I enjoy being the cum dump at the bathhouse.
Yes.
I enjoy, and then like I get to go home and feel sexually fulfilled because I got loaded up by 18 different men in one night, and I don't have to like respond to anyone. I don't have to like check in on anyone. That's great for some people. I am not that. I am not people.
Mhm.
Okay, I am very
Yeah,
much
yeah,
happy
yeah.
with being single, with going with the flow, and if somebody is attracted to that kind of energy, then so be it. And
Mhm.
we need to stop putting so much pressure on finding the one perfect relationship. Like this goes back to the idea of like the relationship escalator, right? Like where you have your fixed sets and markers and benchmarks of a successful relationship. It's like dating, then marriage, white picket fence, and then hopefully you die in each other's arms, like in the Notebook.
Hopefully you die.
Hopefully you die. Hopefully you die. Vance and I are not gonna die. We're gonna be here forever. We're gonna be alive until like the world explodes. No, but like hopefully like you'll die with your significant other in each other's arms, and then the cycle repeats. Like it doesn't have to be that escalator, that sort of linear thing. You can make your relationship however you want. So like let's reshape relationships instead of an escalator, more of like a menu. There's so many ways that we can like express love, and we can express intimacy. We can express sex, right? It's a sexual constellation and not just like a one kind of linear thing. And this applies to anyone regardless of orientation or gender. Like you can, I don't know, just do you. Like fucking make it for yourself. Stop falling into the norms of one-dimensional sex, of one-dimensional relationships. Like no one's going to stop you from having as much sex or having as many partners as you want. So might as well do it. The world is on fire. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Who
yeah.
cares?
Just go fuck
Just
someone
go fuck
today. Go
someone
fuck someone
right
today.
now. Right now.
Yeah,
Pause
yeah,
this podcast and go find someone to fuck right now.
yeah, yeah. um, I wanted to ask you, what are you most excited for in your life right now?
What am I most excited for in my life? I mean, there's so many things to be excited about, but immediately I am excited about my career in the circus arts. So it's starting to pick up because I'm an
And that's like,
aerialist.
yeah. And
Yeah,
did you start pole dancing first,
I
or
did.
did that?
Yeah.
Is that how you led that into that?
Yeah, pole dancing came first, and then I was like, I'm not getting hurt enough. I might as well put my life in more danger by being 30 feet up in the air. So I'm excited about my blossoming career in the circus arts and my podcast, Sex Ed with Tim. I'm not sure when this is airing, but as of right now, I have a live show coming up. What I'm excited for. It's coming up tomorrow, and
But yeah, no one's. If you say that was a long time ago.
it's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be a long time. But like, if anyone, whenever you're listening to this,
But
please.
are you on? But yes, are you ongoing doing performances? Like that's the plan for you in the next
Yeah,
while?
yeah, doing a lot of
Yeah.
performances. So just follow my social media at Sexed with Tim, and you'll see everything that I'm up to.
Well, okay. Before I just want to ask this quickly about doing the aerial work and pole dancing. Is that how does that make you feel? Like why do you love it so much?
Pole dancing and aerial arts make me feel free. It makes me feel like it is something that I can claim as my own. Nobody can take that away from me. It is something that I'm good at. It is something that I enjoy. And when you find that thing that gives you joy, you hold on to that. You hold on to it. You clench your ass around it until it loses circulation. You hold on to it. Like, if for me, pole dancing, especially when I wear my 8-inch heels, it makes me feel so in touch with both my masculine and feminine sides. And when I'm up in the air, like 30 feet and about to plunge to my death and suddenly stop, I feel like a bird. I feel free, and I feel like I am appreciating all of the things that my body can do while I can still do it. So yeah, it just brings me so much joy and makes me feel unstoppable. And I probably should be more aware of my own mortality because doing aerial arts has made me like an adrenaline junkie, which is why I got my nipples pierced so on the whim.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah. How are they doing?
Still raw. Let's see. There's no blood or anything. Not that you can see. Yeah. No, it was crying.
Yeah,
Like my nipples were crying when I first got it.
yeah.
But so far, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're safe.
Well, you'll look amazing at Pride, pierced nipples, looking sexy as fuck, right?
Thanks, Vance. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me, Vance. This was an
Yes.
absolute pleasure.
Yes. And everyone go check out Tim's podcast too. Well, thanks again, Tim. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.